Hey there, Carrie Rhoades here. Thank you for coming back and watching another stamp video with me. Today I am revealing my stamp set of the month for the month of May. Every month I showcase a stamp set that I love because it's versatile, it has sentiments with it, it has a die set that coordinates, and I love it. So for the month of May, I am featuring a stamp set by Concord 9th. Let me bring it in and show it to you. It is called Floral Print Silhouette Stamp Set. It has these 3 big circles that you stamp, so it's not a turnabout die like I've done before with Concord 9th, but you do stamp 3 different stamps to create one image. So it's really cool. It's got some amazing dies with it, and every Monday I am going to come to you with a new video with a new creation featuring this stamp set in the month of May. Yeah. So the other thing I like to do is a giveaway. So if you comment on this video below, then when you come back next Monday, I'm going to take all those names, put them in a drawing, and draw one out to win one of the cards that I'm doing in today's video. So that brings me to another point. If you commented on last week's video, then today you are going to see who won this card. This cute little gnome card. Look, she's in there. It opens like this. If you didn't see this video, it was last Monday's video finishing up the month of May, in which I featured the Oh Gnome stamp set. So I am going to put on the screen right now who the winner is of this card, and then I want you to comment below, say you're the winner, and message me so that if you leave a comment, I'll see it, and then I can get in touch with you regarding your mailing address. Okay, great. So make sure to like this video, comment below, and then you can win one of the cards that I am going to demonstrate for you today. All right, let's get stamping. All right, let's take a look at the Floral Print Silhouette stamp set. It has these 3 images that I'm going to stamp in different colors to create one image. The set also has some great sentiments and flowers. And the die set, I'm in love with the die set. The flowers, it's got the deer with the horns, which I'm using today, the house, the elephant, a bear. Like, it's so much fun what you can do with these stamps paired with these fun dies. So let me show you how to stamp this out. I'm going to start with the boldest image, and you see each stamp has a little arrow on it, so you can position that in the same place each time you stamp, which makes lining them up so much easier. I'm inking up the first layer with Mermaid ink by Fawn, and it's just one of my favorite colors. Love it. So of course, the first time I stamped this, I wanted to use this color. So you'll see I'm going to ink it up twice just to fill in some of those areas. This is a new stamp, and so sometimes you got to just kind of break them in, clean them off well, really helps. But then when you've got the MISTI, it's also nice to stamp it and really intensify that color, or, you know, whatever stamp positioning tool that you like. So I'm going to clean that off, and then I'm going to bring in the next image. I'm going to do the flowers next, and you'll see I'll take the same little arrow at the top of that stamp, put it at the top, and then I remembered when you put the stamp down, use a pencil to mark where that arrow is, and then the next image that you lay down, all you have to do is line up that arrow with the pencil mark. So wish I'd remembered that on the first one, but that'll make it so much easier for you. So this I'm going to ink up with Plastic Flamingo. Do you love that name? It's so cute. Love it. And here in Eagle, we have a nursery, you know, the kind where you buy plants. Well, they have pink flamingos that you can rent and put on other people's lawns as like a practical joke. Does that happen in other states, or is that just in Idaho? If that happens in your state, let me know. So pink or Plastic Flamingo here, and of course I'm double stamping it. And then the last one will be the leaves for the 3rd layer. So you can see how stamping this 3 times builds up the layers, and it's amazing in this cute little circle. And you could use this square with the circle on it exactly like it is. You can die cut the circle, you can die cut things out of this circle. It's just cool. And here I am lining up the little arrow at the top of the stamp with my pencil mark. So much easier. I recommend doing that the first image that you stamp. So this one's being inked up with Freshly Cut Grass ink, also from Fawn. And I like using the little ink cubes on stamps like this because then it limits the amount of ink that I'm going to get on that excess rubber. Looks great. Okay, so out of the center, I'm going to cut the head of the deer. And I think it's just so much fun to have this floral deer. So cool. Then I'm bringing in a circle die that's going to completely cut out the circle with no white space. You could also use a larger circle die and it wouldn't cut off any of the circle and you'd have a white border instead. So whatever you choose. Now this little deer head I'm going to save and make another card with, which I'm sure you saw at the beginning of the video, but at the time I hadn't designed that card. Now I'm bringing in a Copic marker RV11 and I'm going to color in the center of these flowers. So I have two shades of pink, that bright pink and then a softer, more subtle pink. And then on some of the white that's left on the stamped image, they have circles at the end, so I colored the little circles at the end with the pink as well. And then I'm bringing in a scrap of Pixie Dust glitter cardstock by Fawn and using the chisel tip of my marker, which I never use, but I'm using it today to color my glitter cardstock to make it match my project. So I'm getting some pink glitter paper out of it. So you can see I maybe didn't color it completely solid, but I was like totally worried about kind of ruining the tip of the marker. So I thought I'm going to let this dry and then I'll go back and just spot touch the areas I need to that show through the window. So I'm going to set a block on that to let it really adhere because, you know, it's a textured cardstock with the glitter. I'm going to cut out the antlers 3 times out of this dark roast cardstock by Fun Stamper's Journey. I'm going to layer them up to make it more sturdy for the card. And to do that, I'm going to try out this new spray adhesive that I got, which I used on a previous project and I loved. It has no odor whatsoever. It's amazing. However, I will say I did not love it for this particular project. I feel like the antlers were just too fine. So I would recommend for these antlers doing the old-fashioned thing of ... with some liquid glue. But it ended up working out. I think you'll see I bring in a piece of paper and spray it on a piece of paper, and that was a little bit easier, or maybe I cut that part out of the video. Oh, here we go. So yeah, so I brought in a piece of paper and thought instead of doing the box and putting the antlers in, maybe you need a fresh piece of paper each time because they're so thin. When you spray it, it gets wet, it curled up a little bit, and then I got some of the adhesive on the front side. So that's why I think when you're doing something really super thin like this, maybe the old-fashioned way with liquid glue would be better. So I just took my adhesive eraser and rubbed off that adhesive that got on the front, and it actually ended up being fine. So I do love that spray adhesive, but just maybe not for these antlers. So here I'm touching up my glitter cardstock and it looks great. Now I'm taking a piece of printed paper that looks like wood grain because I love just playing with like the florals and the glitter and wood grain and antlers, like mixing the hard with the soft, the masculine with the feminine. Like, oh my gosh, this card makes me so happy. Besides, I love all things wood grain, so we have that. So I'm inking up the sentiment that says, "Your kindness means so much," with clear pigment ink and stamping that onto the printed paper. And that will be my sentiment for this card. And I'm embossing that with white powder there so it'll stand up on that darker paper. And I'm going to heat up my heat gun before I take it to my paper. And then it'll just melt this powder really fast, which means I'll have less warping on my paper. Because this is a printed paper, so it's more lightweight, it's easier for it to warp. And because it's lightweight, I'm going to glue it down to a cardstock panel that's that same dark roast color. So my top piece measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and the cardstock layer measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. So just an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. I'm going to pop that up onto my card base with a piece of fun foam. It already had sticky on one side, so that's fabulous. I just made it a little bit smaller than my card front so it wouldn't really show. And then this card base is a top folding card, so it measures 4 1/4 by 11 and is scored at 5 1/2. And then I'll just use some liquid glue to stick that down, and that cardstock color is Cool Pool by Fun Stamper's Journey. It goes really nice with that mermaid ink. They're kind of shades of the same color, so I love that. So for this deer, I'm cutting the antlers away from the base because the base looked weird on top of the deer's head. I feel like that piece is made to glue behind the deer's head, but in this case we're using the negative piece. So I'm cutting them off and attaching them to the front with some liquid glue. They're going to hang off this circle a little bit, and I'm okay with that. I like it, and I think it's a really cute element for the front of my card. Alright, so then I'm going to set a block on that and let that dry for a minute. And then I'm going to bring in a little tag that I die cut from the 4U die set. This is the medium tag in that set, stamping Oh Dear with Doe ink by Fawn. Doe, right? It's perfect. So that says Oh Dear. I'm going to tie a little piece of like old-fashioned string. It's not twine, it's just like string. I love it. It's so thin and soft. It doesn't get the fold lines that some twines can get, and for this tiny tag it's just the right thickness. You can see I'm really squeezing the knot as I adjust the size of the bow, and that helps that thread not to twist on itself. Okay, so now let's put everything together. My glitter paper did happen to have sticky paper on the back because it was scrap left over from a previous project, so I just peeled that backing off, and then I'm going to stick some foam tape on the back of it so it's popped up off of my card. And I'm not really going to use that adhesive for anything, but I didn't want it to come off later and the element come off the card completely. So I removed the backing, and then we'll move the backing from the foam tape and stick that down as the focal part of my card. And the last thing I will do is stick on that tag. So I'm just going to glue that down. I've got a lot of dimension going on already, and I'm going to have it be hanging off an antler, almost like you would maybe get this little piece at a tag sale. I thought it would be cute. Okay, so I let that sit for a minute, and that is the first card. And now I want to make something with that deer head that I cut out of the center. So for this next card, you're going to see more of the creative process, and this one I did not have pre-made. I just decided to go for it and make a second card. So I'm taking the floral image from the stamp set, inking it up with that plastic flamingo. I'm going to stamp it onto a panel of bubblegum cardstock by Fun Stamper's Journey, and I like the light pink with the dark pink ink on it. And one thing is that a few of the flowers on this are just half flowers, and it looks good when you put them in the circle, but I tried not to get any of the half flowers on the card. So I'm going to move it around and make sure that I'm getting full flowers and not any half flowers. I did get part of one there at the top middle. You can see it if the camera's not too jumpy. But overall, that's the one thing I would mention, is try not to get any of the half flowers. And then I felt like my card just needs a little something else. So I brought back in my Copic marker and I did the centers of the flowers, and then I thought it's just a little sparse in some spots. What can I put in there? So then I decided I would create my own polka dot background with my marker. So I'm going to zoom in and go super fast. And you can see I just colored some little dots. They're not perfectly round. They're not all the same size. They're not spaced evenly. It's completely random. And if you've never done this, go for it. I am a perfectionist, and stamping helps me kind of break out of that. It's really helped me. And doing something like this is fun, and even if you're not loving it as you're doing it, it makes you a little crazy because it's not perfect. In the end, it looks amazing. It looks like pattern paper that you bought. So don't be too hard on yourself, have fun, and step out of your comfort zone. I love how it turned out. Okay, I'm bringing back that same wood grain paper, and I die cut a frame out of that paper to put my deer's head on. And while I die cut that, I also cut some antlers also with that dark roast cardstock, and I'm liking how this is going, but I wanted to put a sentiment. I brought in that Cool Pool and I did not like it, as a banner. So I'm going to stamp right on it, just like I did for the first card. Same sentiment. This time I'm using that dark roast ink to match his antlers from Fun Stamper's Journey, and I stamped it twice to really intensify it. Now I'm going to take that same label die that I used to cut out the wood grain paper, and I'm going to trace it because I felt like my label needed another layer, but this is the largest die from the die set that I got it from. Special day tag. I'm going to have everything linked for you that I used below, but I think this is a special day tag die set. I think that's the name of it, but I'll put it in the comments below on this video, or the description box below, I mean. So I traced that, and then I'm just cutting it out on my pencil line, and I did speed this up considerably because I really just took my time and went slow so it was a smooth edge. And I checked it out and thought, that's pretty good. I think I like it. So now I'm going to erase any pencil marks that might be left there with my white eraser. It's called a Mars plastic eraser. You can find them a lot of places that sell any kind of art supplies, white or even school supplies. So I recommend that for stamping. You'll like it. All right, so here this is what I do. I decide, ooh, what about this? And I try it, and then I lay it on there, and I decide if I like it, and I was liking it, so out comes the glue. I'm going to go ahead and glue those two elements together and layer them up, and I think it's going to be a really good spot for that deer. So I'm going to pop that onto my card front with some foam squares. And then that will be the focal point for this card. And then the deer is going to go on, but you can see here, that little piece is perfect to put the glue on, to glue the antlers to the back of the head. So now you see why I cut it off for card 1. And then once that is positioned where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and mount it. But you know what? I decided it was a little thin and I wanted to pop it up. So I die cut a second deer head just from white and a second set of antlers. And I'm going to layer those up just to thicken it up a little bit so I can pop it up with foam squares on the front of my card. So you can see here I went with the glue and not the spray adhesive, and it really worked out fine, and I had good results. I really had good results with the other one. It was just more messy with the spray adhesive. So there we go. We're going to pop that up with some foam squares. I'm going to use some tiny ones cut into smaller rectangle shapes on the antlers. And I'm not able to go all the way to the top because that was just way too thin, but the bottom part of the antlers is thick enough that you can put about 3 of these smaller foam square pieces on them when they're cut in half. And that gave me enough stability on my card that I was happy. So stick that down. I'm loving this card. Now I'm mounting that onto a piece of Sweet Berry cardstock, also top folding, another fun color from Fun Stamper's Journey, and really goes well with the dark pink that I stamped the flowers in. So I felt like I needed a little shimmer, a little sparkle. So I got my clear wink of Stella and I'm coloring over the entire deer and antlers, giving it that pop of shimmer. And I also felt like the dark antlers on that dark roast layer, it kind of got lost, and so adding the shimmer to it helps it stand out from that a little bit. And then I'm going to cover it all with Journey Glaze. So the shimmer is going to be like locked in there, and it just has this like fun epoxied look when it's done. So the flowers and the shimmer and the glaze, it looks amazing. Of course, it is going to take a little bit of time to dry, so make sure you let it lie flat. Go off and, you know, fold laundry, cook dinner, whatever, maybe work out and come back to it. It'll be good. And then I decided, okay, I'm done. I'm going to bring in both my cards. We'll show them off. But when I did that, I realized I think I need something else. So I brought in my Pink World sequins, and I'm going to glue some of those on. I'm also using the Journey Glaze to glue them down. It's a great clear adhesive with a strong bond. So I have 3 here in the bottom right corner, and then I'll do 3 in the top left corner. You know, I like doing embellishments in odd groupings, so they're far enough away, I wanted 3 on each side. What is cool about these sequins is they have different shades of pink and different sizes. Some of them are not see-through at all, and some of them have a little bit of transparency. So it's a really cool sequin set. I like it, and I felt like with the different shades of pink I have going on in this card, it was the perfect match. Not too overpowering. And those are the cards for today. If you love these cards, I really think you should like this video and leave a comment, because I'm going to write down everybody's name, do a drawing, and one of you lucky commenters is going to win a brown and Cool Pool deer card. I'm going to send it to you just for liking this. So thank you for watching. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe. You can see all of my future videos. I do them weekly, and I just love sharing my stamping with you. So I'd love it if you subscribe. All right, happy stamping. I will see you all again very soon. Bye.